That's it from me. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. And in connection with the collapse of the Soviet Union, there were many conflicts in this territory. And generally, even during the existence of the Soviet Union, a lot of sort of states were created and artificial borders were created. Somehow, they are on their own decision, as how they understood. They created states, they arranged borders from Moscow. They were just looking at it from Moscow. Oh, we would do it like that. So we know that creating state borders during the Soviet Union times took place based on the idea divide and rule. And it was really difficult to have such a situation in which conflicts would not appear. And I myself saw it after the collapse of the Soviet Union. I participated in the kind of reconciliation actions during the conflicts in my region, and I saw the results of these regions where civilian population who lived peacefully before started burning their houses, killing their children. I mean, the one nation of the other nation's children killed. And that all happened after the collapse of the Soviet Union. And the fact that these borders were artificial of these states contributed to that. And I'm now convinced that when the Soviet Union collapsed, the international community very quickly recognized the borders of new states. If they could have foreseen the consequences of these national and ethnical problems, I mean problems related to the borders, maybe then the United Nations and other international organizations, before recognizing new states and their borders, could have worked on it, like arranging new borders that would help newly created states to develop peacefully. And as for Central Asia, we've seen some bloody conflicts in that area between Kyrgyzstan and Uzbekistan. Now we have conflicts, an armed conflict between Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan, and inside Uzbekistan in the summer this year there was some kind of armed clashes, Kazakhstan as well. This is the autonomous republic, which is part of Uzbekistan. There was an insurgency on the part of the population, and the authorities really, in a brutal way, solved that conflict. So this ethnical conflict still exists, and well, they are still burning like fire, or they are sort of still are boiling and will erupt soon. So we will need time to regulate that, to introduce peace in these territories, and so that the peace process starts there. Why am I talking about it? Because I'm sure that resulting from a barbarous Putin's war against Ukraine started on the 21st February this year, Russia will face the same fate as that of the Soviet Union. And the international community should draw conclusions from the collapse of the Soviet Union while approaching the future collapse of Russia, the things that would be created or states on the, let's say, debris of Russia should not be a threat to security, and that after the Russia collapse and the new states are established, the foreign international community should do everything cautiously so that to prevent any conflicts in the territory of Russia. So I think that there are conflicts in Central Asia, and they will continue to exist there because a huge role in it is played by Russia itself. When the Soviet Union collapsed, the international community immediately recognized all these states and left them alone. And that's why somehow they transferred to the fate of these states to the hands of Russia. And Russia, without any barriers, interfered with the policy and life of these states while strengthening the existing conflicts and breaking out the new conflicts. And the role of Russia after the collapse of the Soviet Union still exists. And I do hope that the loss of Russia in the war against Ukraine will be such that the role of Russia would not be so huge in creating conflicts in these regions. I mean, that would be the end of these conflicts, and the main cause of these ethnic and national conflicts is a different one, and it still be there. And Central Asia may become one of the biggest breakouts of conflicts, of international conflicts. That's why the international community should be prepared for that. But this community has already experience in solving such conflicts. For example, I live in Sweden, and very often I do research into Swedish experience or Swedish-Finnish relations, for example, and the islands which are not part of Sweden, and Swedes live there in majority, but these islands are part of Finland now. So. And Russia interfered several times into such wars before. I mean, there was conflict between Sweden and Finland, and Russia interfered in it. But finally, they found a way for Holland, that is for this region, to flourish, and everyone is satisfied. I mean, the population there and the states and the economic development index is one of the highest in the world in that region. As regards the conflict in Azerbaijan and Gorny Karabakh, I mean, a lot has been said about it, and I now think that in Armenia at present, in the region of Central Asia and Caucasus, the only democratically elected president is President of Armenia, Pashinyan. He's a very talented man, and he has a chance to make a historical step to solve the conflict. I wrote about it a lot, and the solution of this problem of this island, that is the islands between Sweden and Finland, could be one of the examples, that the pattern that could help Azerbaijan solve the problem of Gorny Karabakh. So I think that's it from me for the time being. Thank you so much.